G'day everyone, welcome back to the Big Swing Noting Podcast, sending those bales back to New South Wales since 2019. I am Nelson Howard, and this is The Ding. Yeah, we'll call it The Ding, why not? This can be the rant or the ramble. This is episode 2 of The Ding. Tell me what you guys think of that. Probably need a new name. But what not? So, this is, Australia won the ODI, the first ODI last night. Who would have thought? What did I think I said last week, we're going to get thumped in all the ODIs and it's not even going to be close. Very happy to be proven wrong. Very happy to be proven wrong. So after I recorded the first episode, we went on to lose the second T20 quite convincingly, and then we won the third I think it was convincingly, and then we won a pretty decent ODI victory in the first one just last night. Before I get too far into that though, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support in the first episode. Really means the world to you. Really means the world to me that you guys you're sticking around for the full 45 minutes or whatever it was. This probably won't be as long this time, but whatever. Maybe it is. Maybe it'll be longer. I don't really know. Yeah, it really means the world that you guys are interested in what I'm saying and that you guys want to see more of this sort of sit down and rant sort of thing. So yeah, here we are for episode 2 of The Ding. So yes, the first one-day international. Now, what was so good about this is that the positions that we talked about in the first episode, the finishing role, Glenn Maxwell, Mitch Marsh, battered their asses off. Glenn Maxwell came in at 7. Mitch Marsh actually came in at 5, which was pretty surprising. I thought that they would slide him down to 6 and bring in Alex Carey at 5. But no, Mitch Marsh played his role really well, which is super promising signs because the big thing with him has always been, he can hit a long ball, but does he have the versatility to bat in that all-rounder's position if needed to anchor ship? And he absolutely showed it today. That was, last night rather, 73 of 89 balls, I want to say. Maybe it was a bit more than that. Maybe it was 90 odd. But regardless, he played really well. He just chipped it around with Glenn Maxwell. They batted really well together. Glenn Maxwell, also backing up what I said in the first episode, is he is so much more versatile than what he is used for. Batting at 7, he should never be batting at 7. I do not want to see him batting at 7 ever again unless... No, I just don't. I just don't want to see it. Don't want to see it happen. Maybe there's some circumstance, but he should never be batting 7 in any side. He should be batting 5 or 6. That's it. And he showed why, because he's mentally stronger than so much people realize, or maybe not necessarily stronger, but smarter. He's got great cricket smarts. He went about running the ball for most of the innings, probably a bit less, but because we just needed to hold ship. We were 5 for 130, something like that. And he comes in, this is Glenn Maxwell, just waiting for the unorthodox shot, but no, he just kept playing at it, turned over the strike to Mitch Marsh, picked off the loose ball, particularly from Moeen Ali. That was pretty good. Moeen Ali, he just cannot get a break against Australia. Whether it's just because we played the off spin pretty well, no, that's a lie. But yeah, Glenn Maxwell was superb, and then he dragged it on in the last few overs when he needed to go. That was cool. Mitch Starc did his thing at the end. Pat Cummins put in a few. All in all, we did really well to get to 296. I didn't think we'd get more than 220 at one point. I thought that would have been a good score. But no, we did it well, and we won by 19 runs. I got to say, awesome captaincy from Aaron Finch. I think his captaincy really goes under the radar sometimes, and the way he used Josh Hazlewood this game was perfect. That is how you need to use Josh Hazlewood in white ball cricket, because he is always going to be that consistent line length bowler that'll put it in the spot all day, every day. and he's not there for the last overs of the innings or through the middle overs as a rotational bowler. He is there to get in a rhythm, pin a batsman down, and then if I think Nasser Hussain said it pretty well on broadcast. If you bowl Hazelwood late, his length is very predictable, and set batsmen, especially those who are just looking to slog, will get him away. But Finch bowled him really well. I think he bowled 7 overs in his first spell, and he went for very small amount indeed. And took 3 for 26 after 10 overs. He was the difference maker. He absolutely deserved man of the match. Again, Mitch Marsh, probably, yeah, he was a bit stiff. Well, as Glenn Maxwell, but it doesn't really matter. It was a really good team performance. Mitch Stuck has been kind of wayward with the ball lately, which is a bit concerning, but he's got such a good white ball record. I'm not going to question it because he's been so good for us for so long now, as has Pat Cummins, who I think he just got pretty unlucky with this one. He threw in the right bounce. He was pinning him down at the start. I thought he did all right. He was unlucky to go for 74 runs, I thought. Adam Zampa as well. Awesome. It was excellent to see him bouncing back from his T20 series and taking 4 wickets. He's a very nice bowler to watch, as it's very good to have that reliable leg spinner now. He is becoming more and more reliable and more disciplined through these overs for us in white ball cricket. But he was a bit overshadowed by Adil Rashid, the other leg spinner. We have just got no idea how to play him, do we? I'm in a group chat with a couple of people, and my friend Josh Neville, he said, we need to thank our goddamn lucky stars that Adil Rashid does not play red ball cricket anymore. Because he would have absolutely screwed us in the Ashes. No two ways about it. He spins it a mile either direction, and we just have no idea how to pick it and play it. We've always sort of had these problems against particular spinners. Of course, Graham Swan was the more recent one. Ravindra Jadeja was in the last a couple summers ago. You know, it's just how it goes. And now we've been pretty lucky with Moeen Ali. He absolutely shats his pants against us, going against Australia, which is pretty nice. I think all Australians simultaneously hate and love Moeen Ali just because he's so. But I don't know what is. I don't want to say he's so bad because he's a good cricketer, and I do feel a bit bad for him. But Adil Rashid, if England are to win this series, and I think they still will, I think they'll still win these last 2 matches. Do not be surprised if he wins man of the match in both those innings, both those matches, because we just looked absolutely nowhere. Even Marnus, who's our best player of spin, just couldn't. He had no idea what hit him. Again, there was a lot of I noticed our top order, especially against the spinners. Completely against the spinners. We were playing a lot of sweep shots, like a lot, and playing against the spin, and it was the demise of Marnus. He was playing across the V. Mitch Marsh, who went in late, he got on the back leg. I can't remember. Aaron Finch's dismissal. David Warner just got a peach. He was pretty unlucky. But yeah, Adil Rashid. Hopefully, Steve Smith can show the boys how to bat. Hopefully, that's the hope. I really hope Steve Smith is back for the next game, because I still don't feel confident in Marcus Stoinis. Because he always looks so good for the first 30 or 40 odd runs that he puts on, and then he'll just play it on, or he'll try to bite off too much. And because he's just generally gone so slow to that point, it's all for nothing. I don't want to say he's our James Vince. I think he's a bit better than that. But it is concerning if Stoinis bats 3 for the whole series. But I think he's an all right backup. He's a good backup for if Steve Smith, Marnus, even honestly, like Aaron Finch and David Warner. If any of those guys get hurt, I think Marcus is he's a good replacement and he's a good reserve. So I think I'm content with him just being a decent reserve for now because he can put in like those 30 runs and you can count on him for getting those. But yeah, he's not going to be getting a look in the ODI side at least for some time now because Mitch Marsh, he's proving his worth, and I'm really glad to see it because he's been thereabouts for so long. He's been getting a slightly larger run in ODIs lately, batting in the all-rounder position. His bowling's improved a lot. I'm really pleased with his bowling. I think he's a good rotational bowler. I think he only bowled 5 overs actually. And then Glenn Maxwell bowled 3. And then hang on, I have to check. I have to check the overs. But Mitch Marsh, I thought, bowled pretty well, and obviously his batting's really good. But it's all you need to do. That's always been Mitch Marsh's ideology as a bowler is to just be there and just as a rest reserve for the other guys, to give him a rest and to not give the batsman too much. Like he doesn't usually concede many runs. Marsh, he's a very disciplined bowler, and he doesn't need to be like the big wicket taker as the all rounder. He's just there as a decent rotational bowler to keep the runs down for while he's there. Yeah, of course, Stone's bowled the other 2. Yeah, he took 1 for 29. Marsh, that was cool. Maxi bowled 3 overs, went for 19 runs, and Souness bowled 2, went for 15. Maxwell, we know him. He's a wicket. He's a partnership breaker, I guess you can use him as. He's also pretty obviously doesn't spin much. He's a part-time offie, but he's a decent on the spot bowler. Stoinis, I'd take Marsh's bowling over Stoinis, so that's why I can't really see. Well, that's half of the reason why I can't see Stoinis getting a go into this full strength ODI side at the moment. Because again, Mitch Marsh just batted superbly, 73 of 100 in the end actually. So that was my mistake. But he pinned the innings down excellently. And like I said earlier, I was pretty unsure with how he with him coming in at 5. But hey, credit to JL or Aaron Finch for sending him in because he held down the innings wonderfully. The man who I would have at the time preferred to have seen come in at 5, Alex Carey. Yeah, this could be the defining series in Alex Carey's white ball career. Because if he continues to, do a silly sweep shot or get out early in the innings, then I'm not sure that they're going to persist with him because Josh Philippe is. The more I think about it, the more I think Flip would be he would fit into this side so well. So Alex Carey is definitely not safe, and if he doesn't convert next game, do not be surprised if we see Flip in for the 3rd ODI. I still think that's unlikely. I think Carey will still keep his spot, but if he fails in all ODIs that he plays, I think, and all it'll take is one breakout domestic summer in the Marsh Cup for Philippe to get into this side. That's all it'll take. Because obviously he had an incredible Big Bash, and and they chose to play Matt Wade in the 3rd T20, which was interesting. They chose to open him, because David Warner was injured, I believe, or he had soreness or something like that. Hang on, let's see. Yeah, so they had Wade, Finch, Stoinis at 3, Maxwell 4, Steve Smith at 5. I guess they were just throwing around some things. But if for this T20 side, that's probably more of a mess than Is it more of a mess? Yeah, I think there's less questions of our ODI side at the moment. I think the only question mark is Alex Carey. And then we do have the replacement there, so that's cool. I think our ODI side's in a good place at the moment, which is, that's something we haven't been able to say for so long. But yeah, it's only at the moment because we've seen how quickly and how little it takes for Mitch Marsh to go out of favor, and Glenn Maxwell has his bad runs, as honestly as do the openers, but any cricketer does. What am I talking about? But yeah, it is. The ODI side's good for now, but the T20 side is a bit of a mess, and that is why I'm surprised that Matthew Wade, wasn't not surprised that he was brought into the team for the third T20, but rather that he opened, because Marcus Stoinis still played, right? And we've seen his best work is as an opener. It doesn't really matter where you put Stoin unless you're trying to develop him as the all-rounder, like the 5 or 6 in the T20 side, which I just don't think he is. I just don't think that's going to work. But Matthew Wade, I thought, if he's brought into the side, that's what this team is missing, is some firepower at the end, as well as the ability to hold down the innings at the number 5 position, which was where Alex Carey was batting. So that was a bit confusing because I thought that was a good opportunity to develop Wade there. Well, not even to develop him there, just play him there because he's ready to do it there. Whereas if you're going to bring in an extra keeper and play him as the opener, you might as well bring in Josh Phillip. You might as well, because he is, obviously he's new to international cricket. He's going to be, probably maybe a bit shaky when he first comes onto the scene. So you put him in this comfortable position in his first game. This was a prime opportunity to do that and open him with the opening him. Sorry about that. With the opening the innings, which is where he bats in the Big Bash, and then slowly slide him down the order. Whereas like Matthew Wade, if he's going to be in this side, he's going to bat like bottom. Bottom of the bats. So that's why I'm a bit surprised that they chose to open Wade. So yeah, the keeping position's it's very strange at the moment. It's not a good problem you want to have. Obviously, but it is a bit concerning that our keeping has been so unreliable. So that's why I think Josh Phillip isn't very far away. And when he does get a look in, don't be surprised if he just holds it and he continues to hold it for ages. Another opportunity there potentially is Josh Inglis, depending how he goes, because he's out of the 3 we listed there, Josh Inglis is the best gloveman. I think he's got a pretty good frame of mind. I think after Payne goes in tests, I think Alex Carey is the obvious successor to him. I think Josh Inglis is a bit of a sleeper pick though, because he is probably is in the higher echelon of gloveman, which is what we seem to be going for now in our test wicket keepers rather than their batting, which is good. I like that. You should go with your best keeper, and just keeping in a test. But yeah, I think Inglis is a bit. Obviously, his batting hasn't been great in first class. Neither has Carey's, but he has improved in the last couple of seasons. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the keeping spot goes in all our formats. Really, obviously, Payne is obviously safe for now, until he retires probably. But it is just there's many avenues that they can take, and it'll be interesting to see where they go. So, the other news this week is there have been a few movements in the Big Bash. Number one was the third ever Big Bash trade, the third or fourth, which was pretty big. Big. 2 fringe players, but the Melbourne Stars have traded Daniel Worrell back home to South Australia for express paceman Billy Stanlake. So, who wins this trade? My initial reaction was they both win the trade. I think Stanlake has a lot of depth. I mean, he's got a lot of potential, and like we've seen him have really good streaks and have really good summers where he's played in the Australian T20 side, and he's taken many wickets. He's had really good runs. But then we saw summers like last year where he, quite frankly, just sucked, and he was not far away to getting dropped in the Strikers team. In fact, he actually might have at some point. I can't quite recall. So I think a change of scenery will do Stanley good, and I think the larger playing surface of the MCG will suit his fast bowling even more. But that being said, like we're gonna assume that the Melbourne Stars re-sign Harris Ralph, which they have said that they would like to do. Do you really need another express paceman trying to continually take wickets? I know Ralph in the Big Bash was really economical, and he was really good at the death, but I can see players and batsmen working him out this year, and him going for some hefty runs. I really hope Harris has a good Big Bash, because he's really fun to watch. As you see, like all these buckets I collected at Melbourne Stars games. I'm not actually a Stars fan myself, but I love the MCG. So I live in Melbourne, and I'll go to as many games as I can during the cricket season, and collect all these buckets. But that was the big draw card last season, was Harris Ralph. He's so fun to watch, and him being paired with Billy Stanlake could be like that times two. It could be like master move, Stars go all the way. That's the absolute best case scenario. The most realistic scenario is he gives you a few good games here and there, but they ultimately choke in the finals again. And then the absolute lowest is he has an economy of 12 and takes like 1 wicket each game. And all of which are very possible. Obviously, like realistic is what I think will happen. Yeah, that's very interesting from the Stars' perspective. But the Adelaide Strikers, I think, like most people were saying, yes, Stars probably won this trade, or it's about even. I think the Adelaide Strikers really win this trade. Billy Stanlake wasn't doing wonders for them at all, and yeah, he wasn't really fitting the mold of what the Strikers were trying to do. And now they gain Daniel Worrell. So Frankie, as we know, he is an excellent death bowler. And at the start, your classic way of bowling him is he bowls 2 at the start because he's really good with the swing, one of the best in Australia, and you bowl 2 at the end because he's, as we've seen in the last seasons, he's an excellent death bowler too. And he got the Stars through to the final a couple of years back. So yeah, I think that the Strikers bowling this season is going to be crazy good. So you're going to be opening the bowling with, well, Peter Siddle is going to be there still. Like he's going to be there for the full season now. He's not going to be in like the Test squad, like touring with them, because he's retired from international cricket now. He's going to be really, really good there. And then in addition to that, you've got Harry Conway, was excellent in his I think it was only his first or second Big Bash season. I really rate Harry Conway, and I think he is he doesn't bowl quite as fast as Stanley, but he bowls with the same sort of fire. But Stanley doesn't really bowl with fire; he just bowls fast. But I think he's a good strike bowler to have, and I think he is more than appropriate to keep Stanlake there, to take Stanlake's spot rather. So like that's a pretty good 3 as it is. Obviously Rashid Khan he's there. Like he's Rashid Khan. We don't need to say much about him. He's the best T20 bowler in the world. So yeah, this who's the other one? Obviously Cam Valenti. I am having a blank. Wes Agar. Wes Agar just won the Australian Young Player of the Year award. He is without a doubt he's in the top few of the most promising Australian bowlers. He is only going to get better from last season's Big Bash, and that is scary to think for the rest of the competition because strikers they're gonna probably open with Agar and Worrell, and then through the middle overs you're gonna have what was like Peter Siddle will bowl one, maybe he bowls three at the death, like you don't know, and then Rashid Khan. And then you still got Harry Conway who's going for the wickets. So like Peter Siddle will be pinging him down, and then you can alternate with Rashid Khan and Harry Conway, and then you still got like Matt Short can bowl a couple overs here and there. Travis Head, if he's available, will probably bowl like the opening over or something. So they're in a really good place. And then at the death, Wes Agar. Yeah, it'll actually probably be Wes Agar and Peter Siddle at the death. Now that I think about it. But like that is an insanely efficient bowling lineup, and I think teams will really struggle to score against the Stars, against the Strikers this year, and they are my very early pick without all the signings coming out yet. They are my early pick for the title because they also have signed Matthew Renshaw, and we got to give him a clap here because they have done very well to get Matt Renshaw. I think this is good for Renshaw's career. I think this is very good for his career. Because he was getting rather overshadowed at the Heat, and it's so like it's so on and off. You don't know where you're going to go with the Heat because they're going to have like basically the same team all year round. Despite having all this firepower, they don't really have any like national level players except like James Pattinson, who is only usually like a tour member or is a reserve. But like that doesn't affect Renshaw at all. So at the top, so it's not very consistent of a go for Renshaw, and he like when he did get in, he was really good. And he not only like his ability to hold down an innings, we already know how good he is at that, but his ability to attack and willingness to take the game on, read the game, and go with it was excellent. And it has been the last couple of years, and that is a beautiful signing for the Adelaide Strikers. He is a guy you want in any T20 side. And I forgot to mention him. Did I mention him in the last episode? I'm not sure. But he is definitely thereabouts for the Australian T20 side in the future. I think he could be the short-term replacement, or long-term replacement rather, for Marcus Stoinis. He can replace a lot of guys because, like, obviously we know he opens. He's classically bats 5 or 4 in a T20, and he's very much got the capabilities to play 3. So he can replace anyone in any side. Like maybe not to the level, but he has definitely got potential because I think he's only 23. He is still insanely young. So that's a great get for the Strikers because they're going to be opening with Travis Head, Alex Carey. Well, actually, no, Phil Salt as well. Well, assuming that they sign Phil Salt. The salary cap is going to be an issue for the Strikers. Actually, no, it won't because they've got so many domestic players and like just sort of like thereabouts. So like maybe the contract issue won't be too big. But I think Phil Salt, he will thrive under this sort of environment. I think the team mold sorts that sort of player. So he had like a couple good innings last year, but he was ultimately like duck or 50 off 20. You know, that's just how Phil Salt plays. But yeah, I really rate all ends of the Strikers lineup, and this is before like they've completed their squad, and I think that that they will go deep into the finals. This is again early speculation. This might completely change. There might be some national call ups and all that unforeseen Yeah, obviously, no. Travis Head probably won't play actually because he'll be in isolation with the team. But I think that they still got the depth to cover that. What else happened? Peter Hanscom signed with the Hurricanes. Great get for the Hurricanes. I think their top order is now the best in the comp. At full strength, that is, because a number of them can all go onto international duties at any point. So at that point, you'd have Wade, Short, Hanscom, McDermott. There's someone else that I'm missing. Apologies, I've just had complete blank. Caleb Jewell's a good backup. Oh my god, who am I missing? That's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, I think that I was thinking about it earlier, and I think that the Hurricanes now have the best top order in the comp, and they've also got like the thing about a T20 or a limited overs team is that it has to be really versatile. They have to have a willingness to attack first, but they've also got to be really versatile. And all of those players have that potential. So I think that will go pretty well for them. It's a loss for the Stars, definitely. But what I don't understand is they didn't even offer him a contract. Why? Why would you not offer Peter Hanscom a contract? He has been your best player for, the best part of 4 years? More than that. Well, in BBL, 10, 11 now? His century was in BBL 4. He is still absolutely serviceable. He was in the Australian ODI side like a year ago. He was in the squad earlier this year. To think, like, you've got middle order problems, right? That is the whole reason the Stars haven't been able to go the full length. It's because their middle order has crumbled. So why get rid of your best middle order bat, aside from Glenn Maxwell? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they wouldn't even offer him a contract. Whether they just felt like they needed to pull the pin and just start clean is another thing, but or they just didn't think he was serviceable anymore. I don't get it. Unless they've got like a really big duo of signings, really. I don't see the reason to not even offer Hanscom a contract. I think it's dumb. I think the Stars have really stuffed this up. Other BBL talk included David Milan and Johnny Bairstow, both in BBL discussions. That would be pretty cool. Whoever gets David Milan is they're in a very good spot. I don't think it'll be the Canes or the Strikers. I don't think that really works for them now because they've made these signings. So maybe the Stars are clearing room for a David Milan. They don't really need Johnny Bairstow. But yeah. David Milan on the Stars would be a really good top order, and that would probably give them the ability to compete again. If they had Hanscom there as well, I think they would be favourites to go back to the final again next year. And it would make an awesome big four of teams. It would be the Strikers, the Canes, the Stars, and the Sixers, who I presume will just keep the same team as last year because like that did pretty well, and those guys are only going to get better. Although they do have a lot of international level players, and they could be, but they probably will be, in with the squad for the entirety of the tournament, or for a large portion of it. So if the Sixers just make the finals. That was sort of my prediction last year. If the Sixers can just make the finals, then they'll win it. That's what I said last year. This is all really early speculation. Like half the squad of all teams hasn't been signed yet. But yeah, that's where the Big Bash sort of sits at the moment. I don't think I've missed anything there. Now, from last episode, I got a couple of questions. If you want to ask about a topic, like anything entirely, or question or clarification, anything that I've said in previous episodes at all, at any point, or you think there's an interesting debate to be had, shoot a message, leave a comment on the Big Swing Noting Podcast Instagram page. That's Big Swing Noting _podcast. And comment on the recent post or send a message out. Reach out to us. This one is from, I'm not going to say his name actually, and it said, "Do you reckon Stoin should open the batting, then Finch move down to 4 or 5?" So this was in regards to the T20 side that I was talking about last episode. Aaron Finch will always open. Actually, I'm not going to say that because he batted at 4 or 3 a couple years back. I can't remember where. But no, I don't think he will. I think Marcus Stoinis, his game, I said last episode, he needs the keys to an innings. And to share that with David Warner at the top, I don't think that works. And then preceded by Steve Smith. I don't think that works as well with all of them. With all of them in the side. And Aaron Finch, he doesn't need to do that. Like, he will happily just turn the strike over, or he'll go flat out and attack. Whereas Marcus Stoinis in the national setup, I just don't think they need to do that. And I would rather have, Finch can bat low, he can do it. But again, then I think you're sort of giving him the Glenn Maxwell treatment and only seeing him as a slogger, which he isn't. He's not a go from ball one guy. Obviously he can, and he has before, but that's just not his. More often than not, that's just not how he plays it. It's not something you can rely on, all the time. So think of it this way: I would rather have Finch and Warner open, and have Josh Philippe in at 5, than have Stoinis and Warner open and have Finch at 5. I think, I think See, now that I've said that, it doesn't seem so stupid, does it? No, do I hate Marcus Stoinis? Do I? Do I just hate Marcus Stoinis? Maybe I do. I don't think I do. I love seeing Marcus Stoinis. Hit a big score. He's pretty entertaining when he gets going. But geez, frustrating at the start. Jeez, frustrating. Do I hate him? I don't think so. Maybe that's all it is. I think I would rather Josh Phillippe's finishing ability over Stoinis's soaking up of an innings at the top and controlling. No, it's not even control. It's just sort of owning. Like, he may own an innings, but he might not, have it on the right terms, because he can just soak up balls and then just get a single on the last ball of the over. That's what he does sometimes. And I wouldn't, seeing Marcus Stoinis walk out to open for us in the T20 World Cup. I don't want him facing the best spot. Like, that's where he'll face the best bowlers in the world. I don't feel comfortable in that. Aaron Finch, I feel, facing out at the start, can do that. And I feel, that he's ready to take that on. Marcus Stoinis, I still feel like, is a really good domestic player. And I think that's just all he ever will be. I don't feel the same confidence that I feel with Marcus Stoinis walking out to bat in for Australia than I do for him for Western Australia or the Melbourne Stars. And unless he can change his game quickly, I don't think it'll change. I don't want to talk about Marcus Stoinis every episode. And have again for a large chunk of things here. But it is just such an interesting part of the team. Is the all-rounder position. I think it's the most valuable position in any white ball side, particularly for an ODI. And that is why England have been so successful over the last 4 or 5 years. It's because they don't just have one good all-rounder in Ben Stokes, they have a few. And they bat all the way down, and like obviously they've got no problems bowling. But they just like I said in the last episode, there's no real position that we have England covered in. But I think now we can say that we have them covered in pace bowling. Now Jofra will probably go out and take 7 or something like that. But I think we're more reliable is not a word you should use with this Australian team at all. But I think it's probably on its day at maximum power. These two teams are very evenly matched. Very evenly matched. But I think Australia would win. Primarily because of how good our fast bowling unit is. Mitch Starc, Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins. That is ridiculous. Josh Hazlewood, I know we talked about him earlier. Sensational. It sucks that he wasn't in the World Cup team last year. I know it's late to say, and it's probably stupid to say now. But I for one, have always wanted him to be in these limited overs teams, and I feel like it's unfair that he doesn't. Because if he is utilized correctly, as Aaron Finch did last night rather, he is deadly. But he's not even like... Deadly's not really a Josh Hazlewood word. But people forget this about Josh Hazlewood. He bowls consistently above 140 Ks. Like, consistently. He's like probably he's a touch slower than Pat Cummins and Mitch Starc, but not by much. Really not by much. And that is why I think, when people say to replace him with Kane Richardson or Peter Siddle, they're not saying that anymore. I'm just, in the past few years, it's not the same mold. It just isn't, because Hazlewood has such incredible ball control, yes, which is what you see in those other two bowlers, but he also has the ability to attack like hell. He doesn't usually choose to do that, which is good because his method of attack is generally penetration and precision, but he has that ability with how fast he bowls as well. So I hope that we see Hazlewood in the T20 side soon. Although for now, like Kane Richardson, I think is good. I think Kane Richardson's good in the T20 side. He, with Sunny's first T20, he, especially like through the middle overs, and he can give you an extra over at the death. His variations are probably more suited to the T20 game, whereas like Josh Hazlewood, you can just get away with using him in an ODI. So yeah, actually, maybe he's not the T20 bowler, but we don't need that. So yeah, both teams on their day. Why would I take Australia? Like, Australia's bowling is so good, right? But England's batting is out of this world too. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Alex Carey and Mitch Marsh hold up this series. Like, Marsh has obviously held his spot but it'll be interesting to see how their performances persist. Because like that is, as I've said, that is the key to winning an ODI match, and it'll be the key to winning the series is how a batsman from 5 to 7, or like whatever 5 to 8, if you really wanted to, it is how they bat. Because when Warner, Finch, Labs, and Smith is injured, when they don't perform, there's trouble and the team collapses. So it was really good to see Maxwell and Marsh hold it down. Final prediction, I still think England will win 2-1. But that game gave me hope. It gave me hope for the first time as an Australian, for the first time in a year in our ODI side, in this Australian ODI team. Thank you all very much for watching and listening to the Big Swing Noting podcast. If you would like to, I don't know, what can you do? Give us a rating. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I don't think you can on Spotify, but whatnot. Give it a download wherever you want. If you're on YouTube, hit a like and hit a subscribe button, because why not? There's not just going to be this rant thing. There's also going to be a couple of projects coming up a bit later, which is going to be very exciting for this team. Not for this team, for this brand. Yes, the Big Swing brand, Showtime Inc. Showtime Inc. Yes, but you definitely want to stick around. So hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you're on any of the other platforms that I listed before for podcasting, and go over to the Instagram page, hit the follow button. Oh, actually, before we go, there is one more thing I wanted to say. That's the whole idea of this program, is to not have sketched out ideas and to just ramble off the top of my head. But this I wanted to talk about. Smashed by Uzi K on Instagram. Oh my god, what enough. I cannot stress enough how, can I say dumb? I don't know. He is just on another level, bro. I've noticed him for a while now. Oh my god. He's just posted on his story again. I saw him in a couple of pages comments, notably on ESPN Cricket Info, and he was basically commenting on how bad Warner was and how good Usman Khawaja should be in his spot. And honestly, you just that's putting it real nicely. And his arguments are just so bad. I cannot. He's like the reverse of every Indian ever. On Instagram, he doesn't like AB de Villiers. He doesn't like David Warner. He doesn't like Virat Kohli. He doesn't like Josh Butler. Why? They're all elite players. But you feel like you have to put them down to put Usman Khawaja on a pedestal? Look, someone clip this and send it to Smash by Uzi K. Listen here, buddy. I'm the president of the Usman Khawaja fan club. Or vice president, rather. Joe Morch is the president. Shut the hell up, bro. You are delusional as hell if you think that Usman Khawaja should be opening in any side over David Warner. David Warner, you can literally just look at basic stats for this. And it's not often that I suggest to look at basic stats, but it really does tell the story here. David Warner over the last 2 years for ODI since his return has an average of 58.12. And when chasing, he averages 108.75. You want to drop that. You call him Fraudner. Are you delusional? Are you out of your mind, dude? I cannot even understand. He passed 58 times in the last 2 years, 400s, with a strike rate of 91.53, which he said is absolute rubbish because In the World Cup against India, he did, what, 56 of 84 when chasing like 350. Sure, like, that wasn't his best innings. But the rest of the team didn't bat too well either. The rest of the team did not bat well. And you want to hold that against a man who averages 108.75 when chasing, averages 71.88 in the World Cup, and had 300s past 50 6 times, and has, this is the big blow, the most runs by an Australian in the last 2 years in ODIs. Why? Why would you take that out of your team? What, to accommodate Usman Khawaja? Khawaja's good. I love Usman Khawaja so much. But he averaged 36 in the World Cup, dude. He's not to that standard. Like, yeah, this guy said, hang on. Khawaja had to bat down number 4 to accommodate Warner in the World Cup squad. He didn't. He batted 3. And still he made 300-odd runs at a decent 36 average. 36 average is not decent. That is not what puts you in a national setup. If my top 5 all score 36 runs, I'm barely scoring 160. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a passing grade. Yeah, good job, mate. Good job, you just made the opposition get an easiest win of their career. I'm not keeping that man in my squad, dude. I'm just not. And it's unfair. As hard as it was to drop Usman Khawaja after the year he had before, and how talented of a batsman he is, he just doesn't fit anymore, dude. He just doesn't. David Warner, I just read out why. He's not getting dropped. Aaron Finch is the captain. He is not getting dropped. Steve Smith is Steve Smith. He's not getting dropped. Marnus Labuschagne is Marnus Labuschagne. He's not getting dropped. Those are the only 4 positions Usman Khawaja can theoretically bat in. He's the same sort of thing as Stoinis. Even though I think Khawaja's actually a bit more versatile than Stoinis. We haven't seen anything to suggest that he should be at 1 over those guys, at 2 bat any lower than those guys and have the different styles. So why? Give me one good reason why, aside from all the rubbish you put in there that I can't say here on this podcast, why would I put on Usman Khawaja in my side over any of those guys, as you pointed out, David Warner? Why would I do that? It is nonsensical. It is out of this world. It is delusional. Thank you all very much for listening. Play it through.